Welcome to my review for this shitty game, Ghostbusters for the NES. This was in my Playing with Shit series. I'll also drop a link to my tutorial, which I just completed. It breaks down how to completely exploit the game, make it a complete joke. Now, basically, in this game, you have your little street segments. There's about 5 different little mini-game type of gameplay segments. And one is driving, where you collect fuel cans, and you basically all you got to do is stay on the right side of the road and hold up, and you barely will ever get hit. Then you have your shop where you see I bought a beam and a trap, which I explain all this in the tutorial, exactly the strategy, but you buy, all you really need is the beam. Now, you're supposed to bust ghosts. You're supposed to go into all these flashing red buildings and bust ghosts. You can completely ignore that part of the game and just fast forward if you're on an emulator, and eventually the Zool building will open up after a certain amount of time, so you can completely avoid that. Then you do a short driving scene, and now you're on the semi-final stage of the game and the worst part of the fucking game, which is stairs. Now, these stairs control like complete shit. You have to mash one of the buttons, I believe it's B, to walk forward. I use a turbo controller. Even in the instruction manual, the game is so shitty it recommends using a turbo controller for this part. So if you don't use a turbo controller, you're going to walk very slow and you're going to be mashing one of the buttons constantly. Aside from that, there's these huge hitboxes, and if any of those 3 characters touch a ghost, you take damage. After a few hits, you get knocked down. If you get knocked down 3 times, it's game over. There's no continues, and that basically counts as your lives, and this is the only part where you can really die aside from the final boss. But the problem is that the hitbox is huge. On the sides of your characters, there's a gap between you and the ghost. If the ghosts even get within that gap, you take damage. So you have like this huge thing that you're trying to move, these 3 characters with a huge hitbox. And it controls like complete shit. Trying to open the doors is ridiculous. Now, to do the glitch that I did here, you do have to be able to open the doors. So you have to line up with that doorknob in exact way or the door won't open. Now, for this glitch, it's really fucking cheap. It's so badly designed that you can easily do this glitch. Though it did take me a while to get it right by getting knocked down twice. And then instead of getting knocked down a 3rd time and dying, because 3 times and you're dead, if you open the right door that has the ghost behind it, that ghost will kill you, but you don't die. You become invincible instead. Since you died by a door ghost, I don't know how that counts as something different, but it makes you invincible somehow. And that's the best way to play this because it's a really shitty part. And I break that all down in the tutorial. And even the last boss, it's like untested bullshit. It takes like 5 minutes of straight shooting to kill it, but it's actually really easy if you just keep resetting the screen. It just takes really long, and there is a timer constraint. But I do break down how to easily beat this game if you're looking to beat it by any means possible. It's not a cheat code or anything. It's just a glitch that's in a shitty game, so I would consider it legit. But, you can always try to actually get the items and use those on the staircase to make the ghost part easier. I do show in my tutorial that I did make it to floor 20 with no items on one of my attempts. But I got lucky too, and it was really shitty. I wouldn't recommend trying to do that. Now, I edited that fight down. It takes about 5 minutes of straight shooting, which is no point to show in the review. But the rest was unedited gameplay. But I did fast forward on the first part, and I totally bypassed one of the major gameplay parts of the game, Now, this was my 20-floor ascent without using any items or anything like that. So, you see, I got kind of lucky because the ghosts were staying mostly at the top. And then later I do have to do some maneuvering. But it was mostly luck because I did this for another 40 minutes of just playing this area with save states from the beginning. And I didn't get much past floor 13 on those attempts, on my best attempts. So, it's very hard. You have to make it to floor 22, so this goes on for a while. It's extremely cheap, like I said. If the ghosts corner you, there's no invincibility frames, so you will get hit. You'll get knocked down 3 times and most likely killed right there, so you can't even recover properly. And like I said, the hitbox is huge. There's just a bunch of shit wrong with this part. The fact that you have to mash the button to move is also complete shit. Lining up with the doors is really fucking anal. I mean, like I said, those are the main issues. You have no defensive options. You can't shoot these guys or do anything like that. You can get some items from the shop that are really expensive if you bust enough ghosts within the time limit before the Zool building opens. But, I found the easiest way to beat this game was to just, exploit all the sections and do what I did. which I will break down in that tutorial version. So if you're interested in beating the game, check it out. But yeah, basically with this game, all the little mini games that you do are below mediocre. They're super low quality, super easy to exploit. There's no kind of enjoyment with them. They're just super basic. Even when collecting the fuel barrels when you're driving, if you're driving at a decent speed, you know the fuel barrels come out so fast it's very hard to collect them most of the time. Though you might have to slow down, but it's just a pain in the ass, and like the screen ends up moving too fast to see what the fuck's going on. So it's just best to stay on the right side of the screen when driving and go at max speed. It works very well, but it's super easy to exploit. There's really no gameplay to it. I mean, just stay on the right side. It doesn't get much worse than that. I mean, it's super fucking easy. As far as busting the ghost, that's the best gameplay element, where you actually capture the ghost and you have to line them up, and that's kind of shitty. There's really no good gameplay segments. And then the stairs are fucking horrible. It's one of the worst gameplay segments in any NES game. So that does not fucking help the game. The last boss is complete tedious bullshit that unless you keep resetting the screen, it's going to be very hard to beat. So my review of the game is 2, because it's a 2 out of 10 for me, because it's just barely playable. And you have to pull off exploits or the game becomes really bullshitty. And there's just really nothing enjoyable about the game aside from just getting it on my games beaten list. But, playing the shit was not too much fun. So that's my review. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.